All right. So in this, our next triangle congruence theorem is going to be the angle side angle, right? So here, let's just kind of review quickly what, as you guessed it, right? A for angle, S for side, and A for angle again, right? So what we're going to be looking at is the two angles. We know two angles and a included side, right? So what do we mean by included side? So let's say if we add a triangle ABC. All right, and I know that here I know the measure of angle A and the measure of angle C, right? And I'm also given this AC, right? That would be the included side, right? So if I know these two angles and a non-included side, whether that be CB or AB, right? Those would be the non-included sides, right? But for this grouping here, right, we have angle A and angle C and line segment AB, right? This would be two angles and an included side. Two angles and included side. And any combination that is similar to this would satisfy the angle included side angle, right? So angle C and B, angles C, angles B, and then excuse me, and line segment CB. Okay, so now let's take a look at our theorem. All right, so my angle side angle theorem states that two triangles are congruent if two angles and an included side of one are equal respectively to two angles and an included side of the other. Okay, so that is enough to establish triangle congruency. And then from there, we can establish, right, the other corresponding parts will be congruent as well. But to start off, I don't need to know all that information, right? So, for example, this is how the theorem works. All right, so here, let's go back to my notes here. Okay, so here, let's say we have two triangles, right? We have triangle A, B, C, and triangle D, E, F. All right. Okay, and all I know about these two triangles is that, let's say AC is congruent to DF, and then angle A congruent to angle D, and then angle C is congruent to angle F. Okay, so that's all I know, right? I don't know anything about AB in relation to DE or EF in relation to CB or even angle B in relation to angle E. I don't know any of that. All I have are these two figures, and I'm given these properties about them. Right, now that is enough, right? What the theorem angle side angle is telling me is that if you only know that, that is enough to establish congruency. That determines congruency, right? I don't need to know all the other information, right? I just need to know here. We say, all right, that is enough to conclude that triangle ABC is congruent. Now, careful here, right? Make sure this lines up, right? We go from A, B, C. Now make sure the corresponding parts are in the same order. So we go to D, E, F. Right? That would be the triangle congruency, right? So now that establishes our angles, right? Angle A to angle D, angle B to angle E, angle C to angle F, right? Those are our corresponding parts, all right? And the reason for this, right? How can I jump from this step to the next step? Well, that's because of theorem angle side angle, right? That is all the reasoning you need, right? Sometimes some of the homework will ask you, give a reason. This is what they're looking for, right? What theorem allows you to make that conclusion, right? And the theorem is my angle side angle. Now, once we've established this, right, it follows right? Now that I know I have triangle congruency, right? Well, the rest of the corresponding parts, I can write statements like, well, since the triangles are congruent, BC must be congruent to EF. And AB must be congruent to DE. And then what else? Lastly, there's one more part, right? Angle B must be congruent to angle E. All right. So that must be true. Okay. All right. And again, that isn't clear from the beginning, right? We don't know this information that we just established from the beginning. All we know is the two angles and the included side are congruent. The next logical step would be, I can establish triangle congruency based on theorem ASA. And now from there, because of what does it mean for two triangles to be congruent, the corresponding parts are equal. That's where we get the last step there. All right. That is the logic that is being followed here. Thank you.